Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if you did not have a place to call home? Not because you're moving houses or you decided to travel, but because home did not just exist. For millions of people, this is their reality because for them, housing is not just a shelter problem, but it is a daily struggle for survival, for safety, and for dignity. And that is the problem that Allspace is solving. Allspace is a design startup that is reimagining emergency and affordable housing through modular structure that are quick to build, sustain, and designed for communities that need them the most. Working alongside partners that provide solutions like solar power, they are creating spaces that do more than provide a roof, they restore hope. And now the founder is someone I've known for years. We studied architecture together in school, and I've had the privilege of watching her push an idea into a movement that is gaining global recognitions. From speaking on global stages to partnering with architects and organizations all around the world, she's been relentlessly pushing this mission forward. And when she reached out to me, she had one concern: our logo does not tell our story. In this video, I'm going to be taking you to the behind the scenes of how we worked on the research, strategy, mood board, and creating the identity system that helped Allspace not just communicate who they are or what they build, but why they exist.
Hi there, my name is Unconventional Increase and I'm a brand designer. And in this video, like I said in the intro, we're going to talk about how I and my team at Obliq Studios worked on the branding for Allspace. And with no further ado, I just want to let you know how we're going to go through this video. First of all, we're going to start with a phase that we call the discover phase, and is nothing more than just getting to know the brand. We're not imposing anything at this phase. We're just getting to know the brand, what the brand is about. Then after that, we go to the define phase. So now this is the phase where we define the brand, get to be in alignment with the clients, and get to give creative directions and mood board and all those kind of stuff. If you really love to know about mood board, there's a video that's going to be displayed on your screen right now. You want to go and check it out as to how we create mood boards at Obliq Studios. Lastly, before we start working on the video and I get into my screen, I just want to let you know, in case you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, the subscribe button is that big white button. Depends on the color mode you're using, white or black, but you're going to see the button there. Do want to subscribe. That's one way to support the channel. This video is going to be amazing. I know that you know that. So yeah, let's get into the video. And so the first thing that I do as a brand designer is to want to know the client. Now, I have a template that is in the link in my description, where if you want to do the same thing, you can also do it. So what I do is I send this questionnaire to my client for them to answer, to get to know their brand. Now, what is displayed on your screen right now is the overview of the brand. So what I did is I get the answers that the client has sent to me and I send it to ChatGPT. I made a video about that as well, so yeah, you can check it out. So I sent it to ChatGPT and I was like, bring a brand overview from what I have sent to you concerning this brand. It basically defined the brand as a sustainability driven design and innovation company dedicated to creating practical solutions for underdeserved and displaced communities. They specialize in designing low cost and eco friendly solutions, community spaces, and resource efficient systems that address solutions such as housing shortages, power accesses, and learning environments. So it went on to describe. So yeah, this is another thing. Their key product is the Allspace modular home. So they have like a modular home that is their key product. And so the idea of doing this is in a way to create a professional brief for yourself. Now we have AI, so you can take advantage of AI to do that. And so after going through this brief with I and the team, I had to reach out to the client and I had to discuss a couple more things with the client. And first of all, from this brief, I was able to learn a few things that I didn't know before. Like for example, I found out that Allspace is fulfilling some of the SDG goals. So I think SDG is Sustainability Development Goals that was put together by the United Nations, and so they are coming to solve the ones that has to do with housing and I think a couple other things. I didn't know about this in the first place. So when you get the brief from the client, or when you get the questions from the when you get the answers from the questionnaire, two things you want to do. If you have issues, you go back to the clients Secondly, you want to research the things that you don't know. So I researched a couple of these things. I got to know more about what they are doing as a company and how that is affecting mankind. That's why I believe that this project is very amazing and it's an honor to work on it. Now, the second thing that we went to do, I'm going to go straight to Figma because that's the next thing that we went to do. So we're going straight to Figma, not necessarily to design. We have to work on the creative direction of the brand. And so yeah, we worked on the creative direction of the brand. And creative direction is not just the mood board of the brand. So we have a creative direction document. There's a template as well for this in the link in the description below. So yeah, in this one, what we did is we are working on the brand story. We try to define the brand story as well. So this is basically the definition that ChatGPT gave me after doing the overview for the company. And when you're doing this, I'm not saying that you should not read the question. Please do well to read the question because ChatGPT can make mistakes. AI can make mistakes. They actually write it down there. Do you understand? So we went through, developed a couple keywords. This was carefully crafted, inclusive, practical, empowerment, resilient, space, community care, design-led impact, human, transparent, accessible, sustainability. You understand? So those are keywords that we think of when we think of the brand. And so we did a bit of computer analysis. We outlined 4 brands that are their competitors. So we thought of Better Shelter, I Care Foundation. So Better Shelter. So not to waste any bit of your time, all these brands are basically brands that cater to housing solutions. So housing solutions brand, housing solutions NGO. Yeah. So we're able to get these brands together. Then I also worked on the tone of voice. So the tone of voice, we thought of care, attention to detail, transparency, inclusivity, and relatability. And each and every one of these has different context to what the brand is. So care is not just care, oh, I care for my brother, I care for my sister. So we're saying that the way we communicate should be with empathy, thoughtfulness. Our tone, that's as a brand, Allspace, should always communicate in a way that always makes people feel seen. You get, they should also always show attention to details in the sense that the community, we're not generalizing everybody. Every message should feel specific. At the same time too, we are transparent, we are open, we are honest. We are trying to explain to people what we do, how we do what we do, and why we do. We are avoiding over exaggeration, and we are not over promising. So these are things that I felt like we are very important to the essence of the brand and should be put into the brand's communication style so that anytime Allspace appears, people can remember them for being caring, for paying attention to details, for being transparent, for being inclusive and relatable. Now we went down to doing the mood board. Now the mistake that we made here is that we only thought of the NGO side of things. So if you look at this mood board now, first of all, it's called grounded purpose, and so we wanted something that's earthy, something that is like more human and all this kind of stuff, and sort of like green, normal NGO kind of vibe, simple designs here and there. And so this one now we thought of something that is like a design company, so like a forward thinking improving design company that is bringing solutions. So that's why we're using like gradients and basically gradient designs. You get gradients coded designs, but like these gradients are not like your deep gradients. We're not trying to lean towards the tech brand kind of stuff. We're trying to see how we can keep it on the surface level. And I think one image that really communicated that was this one. So it's kind of like an agricultural company, whatever stuff, but like I hope that really even makes sense. But yeah, we were just trying to make it look sort of simple to use and basically communicate that kind of design company vibe. But now the issue with both these mood boards that we later got to realize after speaking with the client is one was speaking to one thing and the other one was speaking to the other thing. Meanwhile, the company is both things. You get, so the client basically told us that we should work with both mood boards, not necessarily leaning to any side, but the ideas that impacted the two mood board ideas. So that's a lot of juxtaposition. But yeah, In retrospect now, I think we basically discarded a lot of things from this particular mood board, and we went with a lot of things from this mood board with addition to other things. So yeah, now we now went on to design the logo. This is what the logo looks like. So we basically give our clients two logo options, and yeah, this is it. So we had this first logo, which I think at the time was my favorite logo. The idea of this logo was, when I design logos, because I personally designed this one, um, I try to think of metaphors that can represent the essence of a brand in the simplest form possible. And so I was thinking of the outcome of the work that Allspace is doing. You remember in the beginning I said that they say their logo does not communicate their story. And so I wanted a logo that communicated the essence of what they are doing, not the work that they are doing, but the essence of what they are doing. That was where my mind was at. That was like, if you could say, the concept statements you get. So usually you also have concept statements, but this time around we're thinking, what other concept statement for Allspace other than Allspace, in the sense that everybody needs a space, you get. And so for this logo I was thinking of support. So in the sense that the brand is supporting people who cannot support themselves, so they're giving a helping hand basically. So that's what I thought about, like you can see here in this illustration. So there's a helping hand, and I was not thinking of how to put it in a very simple logo format, and I thought of, putting two spheres together. I wanted to say, but that would have been a lie, sha, for me to say. I was thinking of spheres because we're thinking of people from different spheres of life. That's a lie. But yeah, I thought of spheres. The reason why I thought of spheres was because circles and things that are curvy in nature have like simple edges, so they are not too official. They are more like friendly and approachable. You get. So that's why I thought of spheres actually. And then I now realized that, oh, if you turn this thing upside down, it's giving like a symbol of a heart, sort of like love and whatnot. You get. So yeah, that stood out to me. So I added this in the explanation when I was sending it to the clients. So this is basically the juxtaposition of these two spheres coming together. That's the idea behind this sphere. So we decided to put it in like a just one page design. Normally we would like do a couple of pages, but there's something about this one where we just decided, okay, let's just put it in one page where there's everything here, the mock-up, everything, so you basically see the whole brand together. And so for this now, if you notice, for the color system, we're working more of purple. And yeah, so if you notice, you realize that we're working with more of the colors in this brand guide. You get, in this mood board. So let's go back to this. So the second logo, was basically communicating the idea of a house, the smile that they put on. So the emphasis was the smile that they put on people's face. So that's why there's this smile coming under A, and there's a circle around it. And this was the logo that they went with. Initially, they wanted to actually go with this logo, but then I don't know, for them, they just felt like, this communicated more the story and the essence of the brand, in the sense that, we also talked about the fact that this circle around it would have been an individual A, but the circle around it communicated that they were putting a smile on people's faces around the world by giving them houses. Do you get? So that seems like a very simple description to what this is, but it is deep in the core of the work that they do. And so we also used mockups and images and the colors to put it together so that you can see the brand all together and make a decision. So we always want to do this for clients so that they are not making a blind decision by just picking one logo. But yeah, there's like, usage, color usage to an extent, and mockups to basically see the brand. Yeah. So when we sent it to them, they had chosen this logo, but they felt like, the colors were not really explaining the story. And to be very honest, in retrospect, when I think about this, these colors are actually a lot. So we now did something like a color options page where we give them two colors. So this one was leaning towards like sustainability, greens and blues, all that stuff basically. And this one was leaning towards healthy colors, community, people. I really like the way this description, this image helped to communicate the color source for this color scheme. And so they finally decided to go with this because they felt like this one communicated more of that human nature vibe, and that's what they are going with. And it also was a balance between being an NGO that gives houses as well as a design company. So it's not too shouty, it's just mild, and it still communicates that um essence of the brand. All right, if you're watching this video before the 5th of September, guess what? You're in luck because I'm launching my Figma for brand designers course. As you're watching this video, you notice that I use Figma a lot. And if you're a brand designer out there, you don't know how to use Figma. Guess what? Figma really changed my life. It changed the work I do. It made it very easier for me to work with a couple of my team members on Figma, as well as not have to save documents to file or lose them, and a whole lot of other things that you can benefit from just using Figma to replace some other tools and adding it to your workflow as well as a brand designer. So this September, I'm going to be releasing my course titled Figma for Brand Designers. Right now, the sale is going on and it's going for 7,500 naira. After the sale, the cost is going to be for 10,000 naira. So if you can use the first link in the description below and purchase the course. See you on the other side. All right, let's get back into the video. And so after we had chosen the logo, the next thing was to expand on the brand. And so I'm just going to show you the brand guide, then show you how we're able to expand on the brand. So this is what the brand guide looks like. So this is the brand guide. We started with an introduction. We talked about their verbal identity, their mission. We checked in with the client to see if this basically communicates what they are going for, their mission and their vision. Yeah. Then we also brought out their core values. This was a dividend from the questions that they are the answers. So core values, we explain what those were. Now, so that's for like introduction. Now to verbal identity, we want to start talking about things like the promise, tone of voice. I already talked about this previously. Same thing here. Tagline. So we put a couple of taglines: space for all, design dignified living, built for people, sustainable spaces, real impact, room to live, where design meets dignity. And yeah, we carry the same keywords that we had in the creative direction document, and we brought them here as well. So this means that we have started working on the verbal identity even before the brand, because you need to have started working on it. Because if you're not working on things like tone of voice, keywords, how do you not get ideas as to what the logo should look like? Do you get? So we now started defining writing principles. This is a derivative of this tone of voice. You get? Because what we sound like is telling you what the writing principle should be. So we're thinking of things like start with the human, leading with clarity, focus on impact, not futures, keep it simple, be intentional, stay transparent. And so I think with this, you can actually also use the help of AI if you already know what is in your mind and how you want it to come out. I think it's even as easy as just uploading your tone of voice and explaining what the brand is about and telling AI to generate a couple of examples, because there's no way I would have thought of this stuff. I would have actually thought of it, but like, it makes my work easier having us think about things like the examples before writing about projects or material, beginning with people. You get? So those things, you can even go as far as bringing out examples. So you say things like, use this instead of this. You get? So yeah, we came here in the brand guide and we now explain their logo, rationale. You already know this clear space. You guys know what clear space is: the space in between the logo and any other element beside it. And so yeah, that's basically it. And we gave some rules as to what not to do with the logo. So after that, we now talk about the color scheme. So we want to talk about, like, in this side of the document, talking about the opacity. I think I need to delete this. How is this not deleted? But yeah, talk about how to use the background of the, or how to use the logo on each and every of the color background. Then color pairing. This is a very important part of branding, understanding what the pairing should be, color misuse, and all those sort of stuff. So we talked about the typography as well. And yeah, now we now went down. This is the key. Also, another thing that is also very important is the photography. So I wanted the photography to be in a certain kind of way. I wanted it to be authentic, human centered, and purposeful. So it should not be like all these are stock images as a matter of fact, but if you notice there's this brightness, joyfulness, because these are the kind of things that we are giving to the brand. These are the kind of things that the brand is supposed to exude. You get? So these are not the kind of images that we want to create. We don't want to create, first reaction images. We don't want to use obvious family stock images. We don't want to use like low light cinema. You get? So these things are things that you have to define based on the kind of brand that you're building. On this page, I've talked about how I worked on Soraya, and I gave the kind of image style that Soraya should have, very vibrant and colorful and all those stuff. But that is not the case here. You understand? Think of the color scheme. The color scheme is a nature inspired color scheme. You get? So when you're working on this kind of brand, these are the kind of images that you should use. Make sure to use this kind of images, and there are reasons why you should use them. So you have to define those reasons when you're working on your own brand. This is not a clash, but I just thought to say, yeah. Then when we're working on this is one of my most favorite parts. We then thought of removing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. We also created this word mark. So the word mark is an addition to the logo suite. So the word mark is just the Allspace, but with the smile under. So to tell you that this smile is a very big part of the brand identity, so we now brought out the smile. So this is the smile. The smile is an element that transcends into a whole other things as a brand. So the smile pattern. So we explain to you what the brand pattern is, and you know the fact that it came from the smile. Now, the smile also goes out to create like the layout. So the Allspace layout is an extension of the smile elements. So you see how you can also use the smile here for image, container, behind, as a background for photo, as well as a placeholder for text as well as image. So we're just trying to be creative and expressive with this smile, and we're able to see like how far it could take us. Now you go further to talk about lower third. So this is how the smile can also be applied. The idea of branding is basically to consistently use things that point you to the brand that you're working on, and so we're able to do this with it. And we came back down here and created a couple mock-ups, showing you what these billboards and flyers that we had created should look like on social media. For example, look at it on I don't know what they call this, like a display flyer stuff on the road. You can just call it a billboard, sure. But yeah, this is what is going to look like. I say the company has a physical office, and their logo needs to represent them. So the browns being used, the mustard color being used, as well as the white on the logo. This is what an envelope could look like with the brand pattern being used. You understand? And this is what billboards could look like as well, with these flyers, with the smile being implemented in the layout system here. And this is what a favicon could look like on the website design, and we actually did this because I'm going to show it to you. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much. All right, so finally we also worked on a website for Allspace, and this is what it looked like. So I think this is a very nice, interactive, and useful website for the brand. I can't think of another word, but like useful. So yeah, this is what the website looks like. This is the founder being displayed here. Yeah, so some of these things are going to change about the website by the time you view it, when you're viewing it, but this is the current state of the website right now. So there's a homepage telling you a lot about the brand, their partners, and the work that they've done, testimonials, FAQs and stuff. Then you go down to the about page, and the about page, like the name implies, is telling you what the brand is about, our story, things that they've done. You can see the use of effects and all those other scenarios, the people behind the brand. Yeah, then there's impact is talking about what the brand has done. So you see like the images, you see the project as well. So you come down and you can scroll to any new project that you want to scroll to. Yeah, then it's basically also explaining like the lessons from every field. Yeah, so the last thing is also talking about is getting involved. So you as a person, how can you partner with this brand? How can you work with the brand? If you want to volunteer, if you want to donate to them. And the final thing that is here is just their privacy policy, to tell you what the privacy policy is as a brand. So we're able to deliver all this for the brand. And I think with this, we've been able to communicate what Allspace does and their story very, very much effectively. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you really like this video, do what to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. As well, There's going to be a link in the description that points you to the Behance case study of Allspace. Do want to check it out and leave me a comment there. See you on the other side. Peace out.